Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Leslie presents. And now your host, Paul Leslie.
Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest is Sean McDermott. First of all, thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be here.
My first question, who is Sean McDermott?
Oh, gosh. Well, I was born and raised in Denver, Colorado, come from a family of cattle ranchers. My dad's from back east, and both my folks were in the entertainment business. My mom studied to be a concert pianist, so music was always in my life, and started studying voice and music around 13, and went to college for music and decided I wanted to pursue musical theater, so I moved to New York and started my career there. And a couple years after living in New York, out of college, I got my first Broadway show, and the rest is history. Sean McDermott is someone who loves music and loves the entertainment business, and this CD is a little different from the previous CDs that I've done that are big Broadway production CDs.
What singers have influenced you the most?
Well, in the beginning, my folks were very much into classical music, so I listened to a lot of opera, Maria Callas, obviously Pavarotti. But as far as my genre of singing, Johnny Mathis would have been one of the first singers that I saw live. My folks took us to see him. I must have been 10 years old. Certainly Barbra Streisand, who I ended up then years later performing with on her European tour, was a big influence just because she's an amazing singer and had the ability to communicate not only through sounds and tones, but emotion. Early on, Mari Alonso, Howard Keel, Katherine Grayson, all of those movie musical singers, certainly Shirley Jones, who I ended up working with later as well, Robert Goulet, who I worked with as well. These people influenced me, and that's why I did choose to go into musical theater, because it was that combination of opera and not really pop, but it was operetta, it was, the American musical theater form of opera, how that began. So I was really drawn to that. It moved me, and that's who I listened to, of course, and was inspired to, sing like. But of course, I loved James Taylor, Joni Mitchell, Carole King, the Doobie Brothers, Kenny Loggins. I mean, that was all my time. The 70s were a huge influence too. That's why this album has some of that on it, which I'd never been able to record before. Some of those 70s tunes, Whiter Shade of Pale, Journey with Open Arms. Not so much into heavy rock, but, classical rock.
You mentioned there a lot of people, and a lot of them that you've actually shared the stage with. You've shared the stage with Bernadette Peters, Johnny Mathis, and you mentioned Robert Goulet. Uh-huh. Could you pick one that has been the most thrilling?
Well, I don't know if it's obvious, but Barbra Streisand certainly was the most thrilling to stand next to and, sing the high note at the end of Somewhere from West Side Story, or, Evergreen, singing a duet, in part of the song with her. That was just magnificent. But, at the same time, Bernadette is such an incredible musician and thrilling to work with as well. So, and Robert Goulet I did a show with him, so we did South Pacific together. So to sit on the stage as Lieutenant Cable, kind of sickly and ridden with malaria, and look over and watch this legend, sort of icon of his time, sing This Nearly Was Mine, is something I'll never forget. But I would say Barbra Streisand was the most thrilling to work with.
I want to talk about your new album, You're Not Alone. What do you think of the new album?
I love it. I'm very much like Streisand, that I'm a perfectionist. I will always find things that I wanted to do different and perhaps better, but I am very satisfied with it, and think it's some great material, and not only covers the old songs that I'm redoing, but also the new material is great. I love the new material. I love the writers that I worked with. I think you did mention that you love the Charlie Midnight songs. He was my first producer that I worked with on this album, so and is just an amazing writer. His credits go back, he started writing for Fleetwood Mac and the Doobie Brothers in the 70s. He produced Joe Cocker for years. Later on, Christina Aguilera's Christmas album. He was one of the producers on The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston. So when I chose to come to L.A. or choose a producer in L.A., he was the obvious choice, and I met him through the composer on a lot of my tunes, or did the arrangements, Mark Chait, who is an accomplished pianist and film score writer. We started working on the material, and he had a lot of songs. I wanted to do something different from the Broadway albums that I had done, which I love. I produced them in London with a producer named John Yap, who is on J Records, and we performed all of the material at Abbey Road Studios with the National Symphony Orchestra. So it was thrilling, but these were the original scores from these songs, Broadway tunes that we did, and I wanted to do something different. I'm not a pop singer, but I wanted to go in that vein of pop opera or pop Broadway, such as Josh Groban or Andrea Bocelli. And
the thing about the Charlie Midnight is, I think a lot of people wouldn't recognize his name, but they would recognize a lot of his songs.
Yeah. Like I said, he sort of has been in the background writing for a lot of these people. He's a guy from Brooklyn who, he's got that real kind of Billy Joel feel to him. And, when he started writing, I think that was a big influence, that whole era of music early on. But he was always behind the scenes, writing for people. But then, started producing. And he loves being kind of behind the scenes in the studio and is an incredible, producer.
Do you have a favorite song from this album?
Well, You're Not Alone is the title track. I think it spoke to me. I was actually wanting more for the album, so I actually went with, after we finished with Charlie, I went with another producer and wanted to add things to it. And this producer actually wrote You're Not Alone. I found out later that Ivan ended up writing You're Not Alone with Charlie Midnight. So it was quite interesting that, there are no mistakes. And I really wanted to record this song, and it kind of spoke to me, and I think everybody that listens to it, over a few times, says, wow, this sort of works really for what's going on right now. We're going through some really challenging times, and we're not alone in all this, where everybody's kind of feeling stuff. There's sort of a shift in consciousness, and whatever you want to call it, and everybody's, kind of in this together. So that sort of work, I love that one. It's, based on the Moonlight Sonata, so I was, that kind of brought me back to my classical roots. But also, Ordinary Man is one of my favorites. I kept it on there, and it's a Charlie Midnight song. Those two would be two of my favorites. Of course, Walking in Memphis was always a great Mark Cohen tune that, I've performed several times, so I would say those would be my three. What's yours?
Well, that's a good question. I thought your rendition of A Whiter Shade of Pale was really, really interesting. Getting to discover those Charlie Midnight songs, I thought all of those songs were exceptional. There's a lot of good choices. On that note, when someone listens to this album, what do you want the listener to get from the experience of listening?
Well, I want them to enjoy what they're listening to, maybe be uplifted by it. I know I do get reactions a lot of times that there are tones in my voice that make people feel things, or they feel, something physical. So whether it's being moved by it or and I find that in a lot of singers that I listen to, and it's sort of unconscious. It's just, kind of who I am and what I do. So I always love it when I hear after a performance, my God, you really moved me. I felt something physically. So I guess that would be, I always think we kind of can, get to people communicating, that ultimate joy. When you're listening to a piece of music that just gives you chills or takes you to another place. And that's what I hope that people get by listening to the CD and certain songs from it. You know, the messages in some of the songs are really good, are really, powerful. And also the older tunes, Whiter Shade of Pale, Open Arms, Walking in Memphis, kind of taking them back. That's why I chose covers or tunes that have been recorded before. So it's not just all original. I do have 3 other albums, and the first one that I did was all original material, and it's some great songs. And Paul, I'll send you that one as well. But the response that I got was, we love these songs, but we don't recognize any of them. So that was sort of my point, too, with choosing songs that are some of my favorites and that everybody knows.
As a singer, would you say that you're more moved by the lyrics or the melody of a song?
Well, that's a good question, and it's different with different songs. I'll listen to Rachmaninoff's Concerto in C minor, I think it is, and it's just, there's certain parts of that melody that literally move me to, emotions. Yet, a Carly Simon song or, like I said, Carole King, there are lyrics that just really make you feel things and think things. And I think it was a song recently I was listening to that was 2008 Grammy nominee by Vince Gill called It's What You Give Away. And it's like, you listen to those words and you almost kind of, I get moved to tears because it is about, it's not what we have, it's what a man really is at the end of the day is what he gives, what we give away, what we, in love and monetary or whatever. So it's whatever it is. I mean, Vince Gill's an incredible singer, but those lyrics just are amazing. So it depends on the song, and obviously with, classical music or just instrumental, it's going to be the melody. Kind of a mix of both, 50-50.
What is the best thing about being Sean McDermott?
Oh, what is the best thing? You get some good questions there. That I've had the opportunity to have so many great experiences on the stage with some incredible performers, some amazing, talented people. Very, very grateful, I guess, that I've been able to do what I do in an art form that is just so joyous and fun and wonderful. Being musical theater, of course, and performing, because I do a lot of concert work with symphony orchestras, and being able to be in front of an audience and make people happy.
One of the amazing things about music is that a song can be in any language, and there are going to be people all around the world who identify with it. We have a lot of listeners from different countries who listen to this show. So my last question for you, for anyone who hears this interview and for anyone that's listening to your music as we play it, what do you want to say to all the people who are listening?
Certainly, for me, singing is an expression of the soul. It opens us up and lets us express just ultimate joy. So for, listening to a piece of music is a similar experience when you're moved by it. Just music is the answer. Music, never stop having music in your life and searching for new music. There's so much out there. It really does help us to evolve, I think. Tones are extremely healing in my belief. So find a piece of music, several pieces of music to listen to that will make you feel things, make you feel whether it's chills, whether it's tears, whether it's happy, whether it's sad, it's making you feel. And that, I think, opens up the soul and allows us to feel that ultimate joy, which we need to have on this planet right now. We need to all be feeling joy and bring that consciousness up, up, up. In sort of an esoteric way. Just be happy, listen to music. It's an expression of the soul. It moves you, I think, more than anything. Dancing is good, too. And so dance to the music. Find music you can dance to as well.
You're the second guest who has said to dance. The other one was, believe it or not, Adam Carolla. I don't know why. Adam Carolla said that.
Oh, did he?
Which, it surprised me. I just didn't see him as a dancing kind of guy, but that's what he said.
In the living room, you find something, that not only you can sing to, but you dance around like a fool, maybe in your underwear. You know, there's not a better feeling in life. It's
That's
nice
right.
to dance with people, but, you know, there is that, you know, just let it all out. It's, you know, who you truly are. You know, just be, it's where you become, you know, who you really are, I think, is what I feel sometimes. And if somebody were videotaping it, I'd probably be really sorry. Flip it on YouTube and go viral, but, or who knows, maybe it would help a lot of people. But.
Well, thanks so much for this interview. I appreciate it.
Sure, Paul. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the CD, and keep enjoying it. And I'll send you others, too. I'll send you my other ones.
Oh, great. Well, I appreciate it very much.
Okay, Paul.